Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The tremor started with a faint quiver in his fingertips, an unbearable anticipation as Daxton approached the vanity. Countless bottles, each an exquisite glass sculpture, lined up alongside sleek makeup kits, all adorning the pristine marble surface. Bathing this luxurious ensemble in its warm glow, the bathroom's soft light highlighted the row of MAC's iconic gold-embossed logos, a tempting display.
"This will be the last time,"
he assured himself, hazel eyes betraying the nerves in his voice. His reflective gaze met a resolute man, early 30s, ready to take the leap. Daxton's heart raced as he picked up the tube of Russian red, his wife Eliza's cherished lipstick for momentous occasions. Applying the lipstick, Daxton discovered that the crimson shade glided on effortlessly, a testament to his dedication to this clandestine ritual. A playful press of the lips, a skill learned from observing Eliza, ensured a flawless application. The thrill of metamorphosis surged through him. But tonight, with Eliza at her monthly girls' night out, Daxton had planned something different. Something more. He reached for the foundation, squeezing a dollop onto the back of his hand. The cool liquid spread smoothly across his skin, covering the stubble he'd carefully shaved away an hour earlier. Each stroke of the makeup brush felt like an act of liberation, releasing something that had been trapped inside him for as long as he could remember. "Blend at the jawline," he reminded himself, recalling tips from the makeup tutorials he'd been secretly watching. His fingers worked with growing confidence, no longer those of the investment analyst who crunched numbers all day, but of someone discovering a new art form, a new self. The concealer masked the dark circles under his eyes, evidence of sleepless nights spent questioning and wondering. Blush warmed his cheeks with a rosy glow. Mascara lengthened his naturally long lashes. With each product, each careful application, Daxton felt less like himself and more like someone else, someone he was beginning to recognize.
"Camille,"
he whispered to the mirror, testing the name he'd chosen weeks ago during a late-night internet search. The name felt right on his reddened lips, natural in a way that his given name never had. After setting his makeup with a light dusting of powder, Daxton, now Camille, moved to the bedroom. From the back of the closet, behind winter coats and garment bags, she pulled out the package that had arrived 3 days ago. Inside lay silicone breast forms, hip pads, and shapewear ordered through an anonymous account. The shapewear compressed and redistributed, creating the illusion of a feminine waist. The breast forms settled against her chest, their weight unfamiliar but comforting. With each addition, Camille's confidence grew. Her fingers trembled as she eased open Eliza's side of the closet. The black cocktail dress caught her eye immediately. Satin material that would drape beautifully over her newly curved form. Eliza had worn it just once, to a company holiday party last winter. "Just for tonight," Camille promised the empty room, carefully removing the dress from its hanger. The fabric whispered against her skin as she slipped it on, adjusting the straps and smoothing the material over her hips. The dress hugged her padded figure in all the right places, creating curves where there had been none. From the back of Eliza's shoe collection, Camille selected a pair of silver heels. They were slightly too small, pinching her toes, but the discomfort seemed insignificant compared to the euphoria washing over her. She practiced walking, wobbling at first before finding her balance. The full-length mirror in the corner of the bedroom offered the first complete glimpse of her transformation. Camille gasped at the stranger looking back at her. Auburn hair styled with temporary spray color, face artfully made up, body curved and feminine in the black satin dress. The woman in the mirror smiled, and Camille felt tears threatening to ruin her carefully applied mascara. "This is me," she whispered, turning to see herself from different angles. "This has always been me." Time slipped away as Camille explored this new self, practicing feminine gestures she'd observed over the years, taking photos with her phone to see herself from every angle. The house was silent, except for the click of heels against hardwood and the occasional delighted laugh when something felt particularly right. The sound of keys in the front door shattered the moment. Camille froze, her heart stopping mid-beat. Eliza wasn't supposed to be home for hours. The girls' night always ran late, with drinks and dancing following dinner. It was barely 9 o'clock. "Dax, are you home?" Eliza's voice called from the entryway, followed by the thud of her purse hitting the console table. "Melissa got food poisoning, so we called it early." Panic seized Camille's chest. There was nowhere to hide. No way to transform back into Daxton quickly enough. The bathroom and bedroom formed a suite, with the only exit leading past the stairs where Eliza was now ascending. "Dax?" The bedroom door pushed open, and Eliza appeared, still wearing her navy blue dress from dinner. Her eyes widened, taking in the scene before her. Her husband transformed into a woman, wearing her dress, her makeup, her shoes. "What the hell?" Eliza whispered, her hand still on the doorknob. Camille stood frozen, the careful persona she'd built crumbling under her wife's shocked gaze. "Eliza, I can explain. My dress, my makeup." Eliza stepped into the room, her eyes traveling from Camille's face to her feet and back again. "How long has this been going on?" Words failed. How could she explain something she barely understood herself? "A while." Eliza moved to the bed and sat down heavily, her purse dropping to the floor. The silence stretched between them, thick with unasked questions. "I should have told you," Camille finally said, voice breaking. "I wanted to, but I didn't know how." "Told me what exactly?" Eliza's voice was unnervingly calm. "That you like wearing my clothes? That you've been using my expensive makeup? Or is there something more?" The question hung in the air. Camille crossed the room on unsteady legs and sat beside her wife, careful to leave space between them. The satin dress rustled with the movement. "I don't know if I have the words yet," Camille admitted. "But this," she gestured to her appearance, "feels right in a way that being Daxton never has." Eliza nodded slowly, processing. Her eyes were focused on Camille's face, studying the careful application of makeup. "You did a good job with the foundation. I could never get it that smooth." The unexpected comment broke the tension. Camille let out a surprised laugh that bordered on a sob. "YouTube tutorials. I've been watching them for months." A ghost of a smile touched Eliza's lips. "The blending at the neck needs work." She reached out tentatively, her finger brushing against the line where makeup met skin. "And that shade of lipstick doesn't quite suit your coloring." "You're critiquing my makeup?" Camille asked, bewildered. "I'm processing," Eliza replied, dropping her hand. "This is a lot, Dax. Or, do you have another name?" "Camille?" she answered, the name feeling both foreign and familiar on her lips. I've been thinking of myself as Camille. Eliza repeated the name, testing it. Camille. A moment passed. You could have told me. I was scared. Of what? Of losing you. The admission came with a fresh wave of tears that threatened to spill over. Of you thinking I'm a freak. Eliza's expression softened. I don't think you're a freak. I think you're someone I need to get to know. She took a deep breath. I'm hurt that you kept this secret, but I'm trying to understand. Relief washed through Camille, though she knew this was just the beginning of a long conversation. I never meant to hurt you. I know. Eliza stood, straightening her dress. Let's get you cleaned up. That mascara is going to be a pain to remove if you start crying. Camille followed her wife to the bathroom, where Eliza pulled out makeup remover wipes. Wait, Camille said, catching Eliza's wrist. Can I stay like this a little longer? I've never had the chance to just be Camille without hiding. Eliza hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but that's my favorite dress, and if you stretch it out, you're buying me a new one. The attempt at humor landed between them like a peace offering. Camille smiled, grateful for the small acceptance. I have so many questions, Eliza admitted as they returned to sit on the edge of the bed. I don't even know where to start. I have questions too, Camille confessed. I'm still figuring this out myself. Eliza's eyes traveled over Camille again, this time with more curiosity than shock. Your makeup really isn't bad for a beginner, but you're using all the wrong colors for your undertones. She reached up to touch the auburn hair. This spray-in color actually suits you, much better than your natural color. Really? Camille hadn't expected fashion advice to be part of this conversation. Really? Eliza stood and crossed to her vanity, returning with a different shade of lipstick. Try this one. It's twig, more of a rosy brown. It'll complement your coloring better than Russian red. Camille accepted the tube, applying the lipstick with a surprisingly steady hand while Eliza watched. The new shade was indeed more flattering, warming her complexion instead of overpowering it. Better, Eliza declared, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. So, what happens now? The question encompassed so much. Their marriage, Camille's identity, the future that suddenly seemed uncertain. Camille took her wife's hand, relieved when Eliza didn't pull away. I don't know, she answered honestly, but I'd like us to figure it out together. In the weeks that followed, Camille and Eliza established a new routine. Weekends became time for Camille to express herself fully, with Eliza offering makeup tips and honest feedback. The spare bedroom was converted into a dressing room, where Camille could keep her growing collection of clothes and accessories. You can't keep borrowing my things, Eliza had insisted after finding Camille in another of her dresses. Your shoulders are broader than mine, and you'll stretch everything out. That had led to their first shopping trip together, a nerve-wracking experience that left Camille both exhilarated and terrified. Eliza had guided her through department stores, helping her select pieces that flattered her figure while deftly fielding questions from curious salespeople. My cousin, Eliza had explained smoothly to one particularly inquisitive clerk, visiting from out of town. The lie had stung, but Camille understood the complexity of their situation. They were both navigating new territory, finding their footing one step at a time. On a rainy Sunday afternoon, 6 weeks after Eliza had discovered her secret, Camille sat at the vanity in the spare room. Her auburn hair, now grown longer than it had ever been, was brushed back from her face. The temporary color spray had been replaced with a semi-permanent dye that matched the shade perfectly. "Can I come in?" Eliza asked from the doorway, 2 mugs of tea in her hands. "Of course." Camille turned from the mirror, accepting one of the mugs. She was dressed simply today, jeans and a cream-colored blouse with minimal makeup. These casual days felt the most authentic, when being Camille wasn't about glamour, but about existing comfortably in her own skin. Eliza settled on the small love seat they'd added to the room. "I've been thinking." "That sounds ominous." Camille joined her, tucking her feet underneath her. "Not ominous, just... I think it's time we talked about what this means for us, long term." Camille's stomach tightened. They'd been living in a kind of limbo, with Camille being Daxton at work and around friends, and Camille at home during designated times. The arrangement was becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. "I agree," Camille said, setting her tea aside. "This in-between state isn't sustainable." "No, it's not." Eliza looked directly at her, brown eyes serious. "I need to know, is this about clothing and makeup, or is it deeper than that?" The question Camille had been avoiding, even with herself. She took a deep breath. "It's deeper," she admitted, the words bringing both relief and anxiety. "I've been talking to a therapist online. She specializes in gender identity." Eliza nodded, as if confirming something she'd already suspected. "And what has she said?" "That I need to be honest with myself and with you. That exploring these feelings is important." Camille reached for Eliza's hand. "She also said that this doesn't have to mean the end of us, if we don't want it to." "Do you want to transition?" Eliza asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the question. "Medically, I mean." "I'm considering it," Camille admitted. "The thought of hormones is scary, but also, right? I don't know if that makes sense." "It does." Eliza squeezed her hand. "I've been doing research too, you know, trying to understand." This was news to Camille. "You have?" "Of course. I love you. That hasn't changed." Eliza's voice wavered for the first time. "I'm just trying to figure out what this means for my own identity. I married a man, and now I'm finding out that my husband is actually my wife." The words, "my wife," sent a surge of emotion through Camille, joy mixed with guilt. "I never meant to mislead you. I know that. I think you were misleading yourself more than anyone else." Eliza picked up her tea, taking a thoughtful sip before continuing. "I've been asking myself if I can be with a woman, if I still feel the same attraction to you as Camille that I did to Daxton." Camille held her breath, afraid of the answer. "And?" she finally prompted when Eliza didn't continue. "And I think love is more complicated than labels." Eliza set her mug down decisively. "I love the person you are, your kindness, your intelligence, your terrible jokes. Those things haven't changed." Relief flooded through Camille. "So you want to stay together?" "I want to try," Eliza clarified. "I can't make promises about how I'll feel as things progress, but I want to give us a chance." It was more than Camille had dared to hope for. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Eliza warned with a small smile. "If we're going to do this, we need to set some ground rules." "Like what?" "Like no more secrets. Complete honesty, even when it's hard." Eliza counted off on her fingers. "Like couples therapy, in addition to your individual sessions. Like taking things at a pace we're both comfortable with. All reasonable, Camille agreed. What else? Like telling our families, eventually. Not tomorrow, but soon. Eliza's expression turned serious. I won't live a lie, Camille. If this is who you are, I'll support you, but I won't pretend to others that nothing has changed. The thought of coming out to family sent a wave of anxiety through Camille, but she nodded. That's fair. We'll work up to it. And one more thing, Eliza added, her tone lightening. No more borrowing my clothes without asking. Get your own. Camille laughed, grateful for the moment of levity. Deal. The conversation marked a turning point. Over the following months, Camille began living as herself more consistently. She grew out her auburn hair, letting it fall in soft waves past her shoulders. Daily makeup became simpler and more natural, tinted moisturizer, mascara, and the twig lipstick that had become her signature. Eliza kept her promise of support, accompanying Camille to therapy sessions and helping her build a wardrobe that suited her developing style. They attended support group meetings together, meeting other couples navigating similar journeys. Coming out to friends proved easier than expected. Their closest circle responded with varying degrees of surprise, but ultimately acceptance. Mark and Diana, their neighbors of 5 years, invited them over for dinner the week after hearing the news. So, Camille, Diana had said, pouring wine as if nothing had changed. Eliza tells me you've been experimenting with watercolors. I'd love to see your work sometime. The simple acknowledgement of her identity, free from awkward questions or uncomfortable stares, had brought tears to Camille's eyes. I'd like that, she had managed to reply, catching Eliza's proud smile across the table. Family proved more challenging. Eliza's parents, after initial confusion, made genuine efforts to understand. They stumbled over pronouns and the new name, but their attempts were earnest. You're still our child's spouse? Eliza's mother had declared during their first visit. That's what matters to us. Camille's own family was a more complicated story. Her father had refused to speak to her for 2 months after she came out. Her mother called frequently, asking questions that revealed both her desire to understand and her deep discomfort with the situation. Will you be wearing a dress to Thanksgiving? She had asked during one call, her voice tight with anxiety. Yes, Mom. Nothing fancy. Just a sweater dress and boots. Very appropriate for family dinner. Camille had learned to answer such questions matter-of-factly, treating her femininity as the mundane reality it had become. Work presented its own set of challenges. After discussions with HR and her immediate supervisor, Camille began her professional transition. The company proved surprisingly supportive, with policies already in place for employees in her situation. The first day she walked into the office as Camille, rather than Daxton, had been terrifying. She'd chosen her outfit carefully: a charcoal pencil skirt, cream blouse, and navy blazer. Professional, understated, appropriate. Her auburn hair was pulled back into a sleek ponytail, and her makeup was minimal but polished. Conversations had paused as she made her way to her desk. Eyes followed her progress across the office floor. But then Rachel from accounting had approached with a warm smile. "Love the blazer," she'd said simply. "Coffee later? I want to hear about that Henderson proposal." And just like that, Camille was accepted as another professional woman in the office. There were awkward moments, of course. The occasional misgendering, the client who did a double take during a video call, the coworker who asked inappropriate questions about her surgery plans in the break room. But these incidents grew fewer as months passed. Camille's confidence grew alongside her expertise in navigating the world as her authentic self. The distinction between presenting as female and simply being female gradually disappeared until Camille could hardly remember what it felt like to live as Daxton. Eliza watched this transformation with a mixture of pride and occasional melancholy. They celebrated milestones together: the first doctor's appointment to discuss hormone therapy, the legal name change, the day Camille was addressed as ma'am by a stranger without a second glance. On their anniversary, a year and a half after that first discovery, Eliza presented Camille with a gift, a gold necklace with a delicate pendant. "It's beautiful," Camille breathed, lifting the jewelry from its velvet box. "Look closer," Eliza urged. Engraved on the back of the pendant were 2 dates, their original wedding date and the date Eliza had discovered Camille. "2 beginnings," Eliza explained, fastening the necklace around Camille's neck. "Both equally important." Camille touched the pendant, emotion tightening her throat. "Thank you for staying, for giving us that second beginning." "It hasn't been easy," Eliza admitted, settling beside her on the couch. "There are still days when I miss aspects of who you were." "I know." Camille had learned that honesty went both ways, that she needed to hear Eliza's struggles as much as Eliza needed to express them. "But then I see how much happier you are, how much more yourself, and those feelings pass." Eliza reached up to tuck a strand of auburn hair behind Camille's ear.
"Being with the real you is worth the adjustment."
The statement acknowledged what they both knew, that their relationship had changed in profound ways, requiring both of them to redefine what partnership meant. They had grieved together, celebrating what was gained while honoring what was lost. Another 6 months brought more changes. Hormone therapy softened Camille's features and redistributed her body's fat to create more feminine contours. Her voice training paid off in a softer, higher register that felt natural rather than affected. The auburn hair that had once been temporary now flowed past her shoulders, a signature feature that drew compliments from strangers. On a crisp October evening, Camille stood before the bathroom mirror, applying her makeup with practiced ease. She wore a burgundy wrap dress that complemented her hair, cinched at the waist to enhance her curves. A touch of twig lipstick completed the look. "Ready?" Eliza appeared in the doorway, stunning in a navy blue cocktail dress, the same one she'd worn the night she discovered Camille. "Almost." Camille fastened the gold pendant necklace, never absent from important occasions. "Nervous?" "A little," Eliza admitted. "It's your company's first time meeting you officially." The annual corporate gala had been marked on their calendar for months. Camille's debut as herself in front of executives, colleagues, and clients. While most of her immediate team had adjusted to her transition, many from other departments and offices would be seeing her for the first time. "We don't have to go," Camille offered, though they both knew it wasn't really an option. Her recent promotion to senior analyst made her attendance practically mandatory. "Of course we're going." Eliza's tone brooked no argument. "You've worked too hard to hide now." The venue was elegant, a historic hotel ballroom transformed with tasteful decorations and ambient lighting. Camille handed their coats to the attendant, taking a deep breath as they approached the entrance. "Camille and Eliza Bennett," she told the hostess with the guest list, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. The woman checked the list and smiled. "Welcome, ladies. Enjoy your evening." The simple interaction, being recognized as who she was without question, still gave Camille a thrill. She took Eliza's arm as they entered the ballroom, where round tables surrounded a central dance floor. Colleagues in formal attire mingled, cocktails in hand. "Camille!" The marketing director approached, elegant in a black gown. "That proposal you sent over was brilliant. The client loved the projections." "Thank you, Jennifer." Camille made the introductions. "This is my wife, Eliza." "Lovely to meet you," Jennifer said warmly. "I've heard wonderful things." The conversation flowed naturally into work topics, with no awkward references to Camille's past or transition. As Jennifer excused herself to greet other guests, Eliza squeezed Camille's hand. "See? Nothing to worry about." The evening continued in much the same way. There were curious glances, certainly, and Camille overheard snippets of whispered conversations. But the overall reception was professional and respectful. By the time dinner was served, Camille had relaxed enough to enjoy herself. "May I have this dance?" Eliza asked as the band struck up a slow melody after dinner. Camille hesitated only briefly before nodding. They had practiced dancing in their new configuration, with Camille learning to follow rather than lead. She took Eliza's hand and allowed herself to be guided to the dance floor. Other couples swayed around them, men in tuxedos, women in evening gowns, all moving to the gentle rhythm. Camille and Eliza joined them, finding their own tempo. Camille's burgundy dress swirled around her legs as Eliza led her through a careful turn. "Everyone's watching," Camille murmured, aware of eyes tracking their movement.
"Let them,"
Eliza replied, drawing her closer. "We look fantastic." The confidence in her wife's voice dispelled Camille's nerves. She surrendered to the moment, to the music, to the simple joy of dancing with the woman who had chosen to stay by her side through the most profound transformation of her life. As the song ended, applause rippled through the room. Several couples, including Camille and Eliza, remained on the dance floor for the next number. The CEO approached with his wife, nodding in recognition. "Bennett," he acknowledged with a smile. "That burgundy dress is stunning. Much better than those drab suits accounting always wore to these things." The casual compliment, delivered without a hint of discomfort, confirmed what Camille had begun to understand, that authenticity commanded its own respect. She thanked him with a genuine smile, feeling another piece of lingering anxiety fall away. Later, as they collected their coats at the end of the evening, Eliza looked at Camille with pride. "You were the most beautiful woman in the room tonight." "Hardly," Camille laughed, though the compliment warmed her. "But I felt beautiful. That's what matters." The drive home was quiet, both women lost in their own thoughts. It wasn't until they were removing their makeup side by side at their respective vanities, a renovation they'd completed to give Camille her own space, that Eliza spoke again. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked, meeting Camille's eyes in the mirror. "Any of it?" Camille considered the question seriously, wiping away the last traces of mascara. Her face, now softened by hormones and framed by auburn waves, looked back at her, familiar and right in a way her reflection had never been before. "I regret the years I spent hiding," she finally answered. "I regret not trusting you sooner with the truth, but becoming Camille? No, that I could never regret." Eliza nodded, understanding in her eyes. "Good, because she's who you were always meant to be." The simple statement encompassed everything: acceptance, love, the recognition of Camille's journey. She reached across the space between their vanities to take her wife's hand. "Thank you," Camille said, the words inadequate for the depth of her gratitude. "For what?" Eliza asked, though they both knew the answer. "For seeing me, The real me. Camille squeezed her hand. Even before I could see myself clearly. Eliza smiled, the expression full of the hard-won wisdom of their journey together. That's what love is supposed to do, help us see ourselves more clearly through someone else's eyes. In that moment, surrounded by the trappings of her authentic life, the vanity with its carefully organized makeup, the closet filled with clothes that expressed her true self, the wedding ring that symbolized a commitment that had weathered the most fundamental of changes, Camille felt a profound sense of peace. The journey hadn't been easy. There had been pain, misunderstandings, difficult conversations. There would be more challenges ahead, family holidays, professional advancements, the ongoing medical aspects of her transition. But with Eliza beside her, with the truth finally spoken and embraced, Camille knew she could face whatever came next. She was, at last, exactly who she was meant to be. The auburn-haired woman in the mirror smiled back at her, confident and whole, no longer a secret kept in stolen moments, but a reality lived fully in the light.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!